Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your Part B notes for Section 6.3 and 6.4, where we were just done talking about angles in degrees and radians. We are now going to talk about coterminal angles. And as you see, it's defined right up there in the box at the top. It says angles with the same, these are what coterminal angles are, angles with the same terminal side, but with different measures. So they're sharing a terminal side, but they have a different measure. So if you look at this green angle right here, here of course is the initial side, and the angle opens up to this terminal side right here. We have alpha here, that's one terminal angle, and we have beta here, which is a different terminal angle. And as you see in this point right here, it says, you know, terminal angles may go opposite directions. Or they can go the same direction, and I'll explain to you that in a minute. Mathematically, you add or subtract 360 degrees if you're dealing with degrees, or you add or subtract 2 pi radians. And I will, again, write radians just so that it's in your notes. That's radians. So the interesting thing about terminal angles is there's an infinite number of them for every or coterminal angles, I'm sorry, there's an infinite number of them, and the reason being is that you can continually go in a circle round and round and round. And rather than try to explain a little bit too much, I'm going to just go right down here in this example 9 and show you here. It says draw the given angle. So the first thing we're going to do is draw the given angle, and then we're going to use that drawing to find a positive and a negative coterminal angle. So the first thing I see is that it is a negative 20 degrees. If it were a positive 20 degrees, it'd be up here, but it's not. It's a negative 20 degrees, so we go clockwise instead of counterclockwise. So it's going to be about right here. So this is my initial side, and this right here is my terminal side. And we have negative 20 degrees right in here. Now, what we want to do is we want to find another negative angle, and we want to find a positive angle associated with that negative 20 degrees. I'm going to switch colors here, and I'm going to show that if this right in here is negative 20, that means this out here, coming around, is the other part of the 360. So we're going to go 360 degrees minus the 20 degrees, and that's going to give me 340 degrees. So I, of course, know that a full circle is 360, and if we use 20 degrees down there in the purple angle, then the orange one is going to be 340 degrees, the other part of the 360. So you can look at that we subtracted 20 degrees from it, or another way you can think of it is that you added a negative 20 degrees to it. So it's kind of, there's not, you have to really use your logic as far as what you do, whether you add, subtract, kind of like when we were doing reference angles and so on. So really a lot of this is looking at it, seeing the picture, and deciding what to do from there. So now when I was talking about the infinite number of coterminal angles, I could then switch this to, let's say, red, and see I could go around that 340 degrees, and then I can continue another 360 degrees around this. So I could add 340, or have 340 degrees plus 360, and that, what will that give me, 700? So saying 700 degrees here would not be wrong. Now it's kind of redundant and a little bit, or I don't know, I shouldn't use the word redundant, I guess, but really 340 is the most direct answer. And if you were to put 700 degrees, I'd be like, yep, you know what, that is a coterminal angle, and it's positive. So, and we could keep doing that. We could add another 360, another 360, another 360 to find an infinite number of positive coterminal angles. But we're not, because we don't want to. So now we're going to focus on the negative. With that, actually that same idea, and I'm going to erase some of this because this is kind of nasty at this point. I'm going to just erase it all. To get another coterminal that's negative, again, this is our negative 20 degree angle right here. Negative 20 degrees in there. And kind of with that idea of that 360, what we can do is say, hey, you know what? I came down 20 degrees, but I want to now go around a whole 360 and then come down another negative 20. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your negative 20 degrees, if you will, and subtract another 360 from it. Or if you want to just think about it as 360 plus 20, that's 380, but obviously we're going clockwise, so that would be negative 380 degrees. So there is so many ways to think about this, and I'm not forcing you to think one way. What I am going to say is think logically. Think about what you're doing, and don't just try to find this algorithm where I'm telling you to add and subtract at any given time. You're going to have to look at it and decide for yourself what you're going to do. So let's kind of see if you've got this figured out. So 370 degrees, I'm going to switch out of red. Red's kind of obnoxious. It's a positive, so we're angle, so we're going clockwise, or counterclockwise, I'm sorry. And if you think about it, we're going here, we're going to go 360 degrees and another 10 degrees, which is going to be this small little angle right in here. So now to give a positive angle, we could add another 360 to this 370 if we really wanted to, but what I'm going to do is go, you know what, I know that that angle with the initial side, whether it's 370, or I could also write it as 10 degrees, because 10 degrees, 370 degrees are the same angle. And again, you can add 360 to the 370, and you could say, hey, you know what? Let's be overachievers here and put another answer. I know 730 degrees also works. So in pre-calculus, we actually ask for a couple positives, a couple negatives, just to make sure you understand that idea. In advanced algebra, we tend to just say, hey, give me a positive, give me a negative. So there's the difference between the courses. The negative, where we know that we have 10 degrees there, and I want to come around. Let me change the angle color a little bit here. So to go from the initial side around clockwise, or negative, I know that I'm going to go around all the way to 350 or negative 350 degrees. So really the trick is to have done what you had to do before, where you need to understand that positive angles go counterclockwise and negative angles go clockwise, and a full circle is 360 degrees, or full rotation. So that is, again, you could have just written one answer up here. In the positive, I would have just put 10 degrees myself, and then the other one I would write negative 350 degrees. And again, there's an infinite number of answers. So number 11, we're switching over to pi radians, and we have a negative there, so we're going to go clockwise to pi radians, which of course we know is the same thing as negative 180 degrees. So the positive version of that, if you will, is going to come from the initial side and go counterclockwise to that same position, and that is going to be pi radians. And again, if you want to be a little bit of an overachiever, we could say, hey, you know what, I want to go all the way around the circle and then back to that position, and that's going to be 3 pi. And it really is about position, like where are you ending? And you can go around the circle an infinite number of times and then stop at that one location or position. A negative, well, let me switch to that red because it's really, really clear. With this, you can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go all the way around, negative 2 pi. So I'm back to the initial side, and then I'm going to come back around another negative pi. So what does that mean? We're going to end up with a negative 3 pi. So that's just using number sense. Mathematically speaking, you can go negative pi, actually to get to the first one, negative pi plus 2 pi equals pi, to give you this one, if you want to know mathematically how to calculate it versus just using a picture. And then the other one would be negative pi minus 2 pi, and that's going to give you that negative 3 pi. So however you want to look at that. But anyway, so really coterminal angles are just the positive or negative angle given the position that you want to end, and they just need to be different. They need to be different, and of course there's a lot of different choices here. So this last one, number 12, this is going to be your responsibility, and you're going to show me in class. So 500 degrees, find the position, draw it in, and then give me one positive and one negative angle, and I'll check it in next time. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.